You're a man with a microphone. I'm a man with a microphone.
Yeah.
From one man with a microphone to another, I was wondering if you could teach me a little bit about how to be an announcer.
Okay.
I'm not trying to steal your job. I just want to learn from the best.
No. Competition makes us stronger.
That's George Luchinger, known as the voice of the Spengler Cup, an annual ice hockey tournament played at the end of each year in Davos. The Spengler Cup would be my last Swiss top event, and George and I were in the producer room at the very top of the Eisstadion, a cathedral-like stadium unlike any other I'd been in, with huge wooden vaulted beams soaring above the rink. But I wasn't there to talk about architecture. I was there for career advice.
Try to find your own way. Every voice can have a different sound, a different melody. My working voice is a little bit different because then I go a little bit more down and give them more power.
Okay, so coach me, so I have to go down.
Correct.
Could you give us an example? Would that be okay?
Sure. So, check, kurze Soundcheck, kurze Test. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome at the 98th Spengler Cup in Davos. Now on schedule, Game 1. HC Davos versus HC Pardubice. Now I hand over to my colleague from London, please, check.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 98th Davos... No, I got that wrong. So,
doesn't matter.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Open the mouth.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Now open. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen. The chances of me taking over from George weren't looking good. And since this was the last episode of the series, I asked if he would do the honors. This might be a bit of a cheeky question. I was wondering whether you could read the opening for the episode that we're doing.
Sure. Check, test. Okay. Presented by Swiss Top Events and Switzerland Tourism, this week's episode, the Spengler Cup, with your host, Jack Boswell. Enjoy the podcast.
Spengler Cup is the most traditional club ice hockey tournament from the world.
It's really incredible what we build up for these 6 days.
A tournament like this will not exist for so many years if there is not something magic.
Magic is right, because within the snowy peaks of Davos, a festive spell is cast over the town.
It's a very special atmosphere because it's Christmas time.
Taking place in a stadium which feels reverential.
People that see the arena call it the hockey cathedral.
Everything echoes, it gets really loud.
You see these fans that are banging drums and chanting and dancing.
Just an insane environment.
All these peoples are around this arena and celebrate a beautiful time.
Surrounded by the Alps.
Picture like the perfect Swiss mountain town, and that's what you're going to find in Davos.
It's a tournament steeped in history.
So much tradition in this tournament.
I don't think there's anything else in the hockey world that's quite like it.
Just a really, really special atmosphere which can only be created by Spengler Cup here in Davos.
You're listening to a series exploring the 9 Swiss top events, hosted by me, Jack Boswell, and presented by Switzerland Tourism and Swiss Top Events. This is Views from the Top. Episode 9, and the final in this series, the Spengler Cup. Perched in the Alps in the east of Switzerland, Davos claims the crown of Europe's highest city, which feels appropriate given the Spengler Cup's coveted status amongst the competing clubs. To get a sense of its history, I sat down with someone who knows the tournament better than anyone.
My name is Marc Gianola. I'm the president of the Spengler Cup and the CEO of the Hockey Club Davos.
And not just that, but you used to be a player as well.
Exactly. I had played for 17 years in this organization.
So, to someone who has never experienced it, how would you describe the Spengler Cup?
Spengler Cup is the most traditional club ice hockey tournament from the world. We have a history of 100 years. It takes part always in the last week of the year. We play 11 games in 6 days, and the participants are all club teams from all of the world. We have beside the arena a big fan tent where it's live concerts. There are around 2,000, 1,500, 2,000 fans or people were make an unbelievable part. It's beautiful to watch that. And we have a huge, big building beside where all the VIPs are inside. There are around 1,500 people in there. And all these people are around this arena and celebrate a beautiful time.
But the Spengler Cup is more than a tournament with an incredible party. It has a rich history which is more relevant than ever.
If we look to the history now, where it's a lot of wars around Europe, the Spengler Cup was a club tournament where all the countries come to Davos and play sport against each other. So after the World Wars, that's the most important thing for the Spengler Cup. Also, Spengler Cup bring the teams together.
So it's about uniting people that were enemies.
Exactly. All the countries where had a lot of war, they come to Davos and play hockey against each other. We had now a small museum in this arena, and we show the history of Spengler Cup. We show the history of HC Davos. All these things we did the last 6-7 years.
HC Davos, the local team in Davos.
Now we go through the public area. And you will see everywhere on the walls the whole history of hockey.
We make our way down to the museum in the entrance of the stadium, where the walls are covered with photos and memorabilia from the 100-year history.
My part of the history starts here in 1993, where I come to Davos. There I had a lot of good memories. We won the Spengler Cup after 42 years, and the last win was last year with the big title end of the year.
This was the 16th time.
Exactly. We are now equalized the 16 titles from Team Canada. If we win this year, we are leaders.
Dankeschön. Grazie. Grazie Fitch. Merci, thank you. Marc Gianola.
I wanted to meet one of the players who would be competing in the hopes of securing HC Davos's 17th win.
Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
Nice to meet you, Mate.
Hello.
So I sat down with one ahead of the team's practice later that day.
My name is Matej Stransky. I'm from Stra, Czech Republic. This is my 4th season starting with Davos, and my role here, I would like to keep scoring goals for the team and help the team to achieve the goal that we all have, which is win the league.
This is a pretty broad question, but do you think you need to be a certain kind of person to become an ice hockey player?
I think so, yeah. I think you have to be driven, you have to love the game, obviously, and you have to be tough mentally as well, because it's not always good in your career. Sometimes there's points of your career that it's tough, and you have to overcome it and get better and stronger mentally, yeah.
Is there anything people never think to ask you? Things that just get overlooked that you feel are worth sharing?
Yeah, I think people sometimes overlook how hard it is actually to be a professional athlete. You know, obviously there's a little bit of talent, but it has to come with a lot of work as well, because I think talent without work is nothing. Growing up, you know, you don't have any weekends off. Usually you have games, then your parents have to sacrifice too. You have to drive you to the ring for practices every day, and there's a lot of work. And then now, obviously, I'm where I am. I'm happy about it, but it's been 30 years working for it, so it doesn't just come, you know, like that. You know, we come really late from the games. Then in the morning you have practice again, no sleep. Then we have family, so you have to spend times with the kids as well. So there's a lot of things coming into that, and I think sometimes people don't see that, but which is fine, though.
You're human too.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, we're entertainers for the people, obviously, but also we're humans as well, yeah.
That's interesting you say entertainers. Do you think, how does that sit alongside being an athlete?
I think we play for the fans, you know. Obviously, it's a sport, but the most important part for every athlete or the team sport is the fans. You know, they fill up the arenas, they give us that extra energy, and when you see them happy, you know, sometimes in life that's all people have. They have their team that they're really, really supporting, and you want to make them happy, you know, and if they're happy, then we are happy.
Would you mind describing how it feels, the difference between the season games and the Spengler Cup?
Spengler Cup is First of all, it's completely different teams. You know, the leagues throughout the Europe, every league has its own specific. So let's say Swedish league is, I think it's more physical, than Finnish league is more skating. So you have to adjust to that really quickly, and also the games are going one right after another, so there's not much time to recover. So I think you have to be prepared in your head and focused and just push through. Obviously it's around Christmas too, so you have to, you know, enjoy a little bit the Christmas spirit, but also you have to be ready for the game. So it's a tough tournament. You get really tired after it's done, but I think it's good, you know, test for us mid through the season to know where we're at. It helped us a lot last year. Obviously we won it, but it also helped us to get on the right track and gave us a little bit of confidence for the last push before the playoffs, so it was good.
And can you just describe the atmosphere when you play, what it's like here with the crowds and the fans?
The atmosphere is amazing. It's been really good. Before I went to Davos, I was here for a tournament with a different team, and that's why I fell in love with this place, because it was so electric, and snow, Christmas, everybody's having fun, so it's really nice, and it gives you that extra push for the rest of the season.
Putting on an event like this over Christmas is a huge undertaking, and I wanted to hear how it all comes together. So I met up with the only person working permanently on the Spengler Cup throughout the year.
My name is Jacqueline Kühne. They call me the head of project of Spengler Cup Davos, so I'm responsible for all the organizational tasks here.
For Jacqueline, it's an all-consuming job to make sure everything comes together.
It's now 100 days before the tournament, I think. It's quiet in summer and it gets crazy from September until January, I'd say. The building up of the infrastructure, the temporary building and everything. I'm celebrating Christmas with my family in January. So.
You grew up with the Spengler Cup. Do you have any memories of that you could share?
It belongs to the city as probably the World Economic Forum or the snow in the winter. It's part of the game. It's part of the town, the tournament. And it's a very special atmosphere because it's Christmas time. Good mix of spectators in the stadium, spectators outside in the public viewing, the fan tent, we call it, and the party. And also the people invited in the VIP section in our loft. So it's a very special mix of different people, but also a very special mix of the ages. So we have very young people, we have a family sector, people coming here for like 30 or 40 years, having their tickets for all the games. So it's a big mixture of everybody.
What does it feel like, though, to have such an incredible build-up of months to these few days, and then you come out the other side of it?
Well, it's really incredible what we build up for these 6 days. As you know, it's about 100,000 spectators coming here these days, and they expect it to be a perfect place to be. For the teams and also the players, they always say they want to have the Spengler Cup on their CV. And most of them also bring their family with them. So it's not only their special event, so it's a family event and also a team event, I think, for the participants, for the players. They can be here as a team for 1 week together. And I think it's more special than being as a team on a World Championship or Olympics, even Olympics, because they have the family with them, most of them.
For the first time last year, you had 2 women's teams competing in the tournament. It's this huge milestone. What did that feel like for you to watch, experience?
It's somehow the perfect addition to the tournament. So to show everybody that we are also caring about the Women's League. It was also the first year we had a women's team in the HC Davos. So it was somehow logical. So we would also have a game in between women's teams to be part of the Spengler Cup, right?
To find out a bit more about that milestone and get an outsider's perspective on Davos and the Spengler Cup, I sat down with a player on the women's team who made the move to Switzerland last year.
I'm Leah Marino. I'm 24 years old and I'm from California, United States. I ended up in Davos last season, really wanting to go somewhere to get a little bit more of a cultural experience and travel and just get a new experience out of the sport. So that's how I ended up here. And last year was obviously the first year they started the women's program here. So for me, it was really exciting coming to a new place where like everything was new and the fans really didn't have an idea about what it would be like to watch women's hockey. So that was a big draw for me to come here.
So what were your first impressions arriving in Davos?
Yeah, I was blown away. Like I had seen pictures online, obviously did a little bit of research before I came here, but when I actually got into town and saw like the scope of the mountains and just the town that just follows the valley, I love it. Every time I come over the pass, over the mountain pass, it's super exciting and I just love it here. I grew up in a mountain town, so for me it's like home, but 3 times larger scale. Yeah.
For Leah, the new team doesn't just offer the chance for women to write a new chapter of Davos's history. It's an opportunity to bring women's ice hockey to a wider audience through the Spengler Cup.
Aside from it being the first women's team here in Davos, I think it really expanded our league in general, the Post-Finance Women's League, because again, this is a big hockey city, and I think we attract a decent amount of fans. So it's exciting for the other teams to come play us here. We have a great organization, and they treat us very well. They treat us equal to the men's team. So when the other teams get to come play here and we get to play in the big stadium and the same locker rooms and use the same gyms and everything, it's a really big deal for women's hockey and women's sports in general. So I think for it to come to Davos and for the fans to be able to see a little bit of what Swiss ice hockey on the women's side has to offer, it's exciting and it grows the game. And there's a lot of young girls here who are also playing. So for them, it gives them something to look up to.
What did it feel like playing that first time? I mean, to be part of making history, really.
Yeah, it was actually really, really cool. I won't really forget it. In the US, we get some fans, but we never have a fan section like here where there's drums and chants and it's really loud and they live for that. The fans, they take a lot of pride in those areas of the game. So for me, it was a little bit shocking, I guess, surprising, a little bit overwhelming, but super exciting. And yeah, I remember just trying to take in the moment because that was something I had never experienced before. And it doesn't do justice until you come in person. I've had friends visit and they're like, wow, the fact that we get to play in here just alongside the men's team who has been here for so many years now and has really created just such a crazy culture. There's so much history in this rink. It's really exciting.
How do you see it evolving down the line?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think if we can continue to win games, it's a big part of it here in Davos. We have a winning culture. It's what's expected. I think the way we're treated here, the equality we get, the fans we get, it will really be the spot for women to come and play ice hockey in the future. There's been a big push in recent years for women's equality in general, especially in the sports world. And I think people are starting to see that it's different games, but they're starting to respect our game. And so among all sports, they're starting to realize that we don't have to expect the same from each side of the game, whether it be basketball, whether it be tennis, golf, whatever it is. It's just that it can be just as entertaining if you just respect each game within its own right. And so I think them bringing, us into the Spengler Cup last year was super exciting and super unreal. And I hope that a lot of people realize that, yeah, it's not the same game. It's not as physical as the men's game, but we have something to offer as well. And it's exciting to see women who this is their career path and this is what they want to do. And they're just as driven as, a guy who's doing the same thing.
Down on the rink, practice was underway for the men's team. And watching the speed, agility, and occasional crash as the players hurtled into the sides of the rink, I was struck by the amount of risk involved. And not just for the players, which is something George, the announcer we heard at the start, knows about firsthand. When he started out, he didn't sit up in the producer's room. He was down by the rink, which led to one particularly memorable Spengler Cup.
It was then that our position was not somewhere covered. We were really on ice level, just behind the board. And there was an infight. 2 players fought for the puck, stick to stick. And I was writing just the next message I had to announce. And what I didn't see, the puck flow out. couple of seconds later, one guy behind me was a trained paramedic. He took me back and he said, blood, blood, blood. And I was completely shocked. And yes, I had a cut in my head. I went then with the tournament doctor down to the dressing room, 7 stitches on my head. And 2 hours later, I was back on my seat and I did the evening session. So it was quite cool. And the organizer honored this with a golden helmet. There are some pictures. So I was then the announcer with the golden helmet.
So last year, Davos, they won for the 16th time, I think. How are you feeling about this year?
Where is the glass ball where we can look in? Now it is very unpredictable. Because it's always a very strong lineup. All the teams, they have the same idea. And then it depends really on how these 6-7 days go. For sure, Davos, it is not safe that you win because you're the host, as the history shows. But they have the advantage of really being the host and have the support of the fans.
As practice wound down, I spoke with Josh Holden, HC Davos's head coach, about his hopes for turning 16 wins into 17 so they could become the reigning champions.
Let him work, right? He's got it. He's going to move that puck either way. So control it.
Josh used to be a player himself, and we began by discussing the differences between playing and coaching.
It's the same game, but the exact opposite. So, which is crazy. So I always try to explain it to people. It's like an iceberg. You know, when you see it in the ocean, you only see 10%. That's like the players. The 90% underneath is like the coaching that goes in, the planning, the preparation, and all that to help those guys. So it's
And with the Spengler Cup less than 2 months away, Josh is hopeful about HC Davos's chances of a 17th win.
We're getting there. We're finding our compete and effort, you know, so it's early in the season. It's good to have some pushback so we can start to understand how to control momentum and again just really clarify who we are as a team, I think. So today was a hard working day, so the expectations should be the same in the game tomorrow.
Well, this might be a bit abstract, but who are you as a team?
Ultimately, we have 3 words that we kind of identify with, and it's a fast, hard team. So fast can relate to decisions, can relate to speed on the ice, and everything that we do has to be done at a high level of pace, a high level of speed. Secondly, hard, I think this is also like decision making, right? Making hard decisions with the puck, without the puck, finishing checks when we have to. And last, the team. Big believer in, you know, everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to kind of buy into ultimately what we want to accomplish, and that's to win. And in order to win, you have to have character, attitude, and discipline. And if those 3 things are checked off every day, you're getting better.
And with that, as the autumn days turned cooler and winter clouds emerged over the horizon, heavy with snow, I slung my bag over my shoulder to leave Davos. In less than 2 months, the landscape would turn white. Christmas trees would twinkle, and as fans descend on the town, victory at the Spengler Cup for HC Davos would be within tantalizing reach.
The host, willkommen, HC Davos!
You've been listening to Views from the Top, a Switzerland Tourism and Swiss Top Events collaboration with the support of our partners Swiss International Airlines and Swiss Deluxe Hotels. A special thank you to the Alpengold Hotel for hosting me during my time in Davos. And an even bigger thank you to all the insightful people I've spoken to across this series who've made me feel so welcome during my time in Switzerland. It's been a true anti-classic production presented by me, Jack Boswell. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please rate, share, and subscribe. As always, thanks for listening.